Jim Park, and I'll be your teacher for this course for the summer term here at Loma Linda University. The name of the course is RELT 415, Christian Theology and Popular Culture. So I thought I would introduce the course during this first week so we have time to get acquainted with one another and the course materials. So let me go over the content of the course we're going to be looking at. As I said, the first week starting today, June 22nd, is introduction to the course. We'll also be introducing one another in the forum, so it's in a fairly easy first week. Get acquainted with the syllabus. Our second week is June 29th, the erosion of authority. We're going to be talking about the culture we live in. There has been an erosion of authority. One of the best ways to learn about your own culture is to look at another culture. And the culture we're going to be looking at is actually the Middle Ages, that had an extremely high authoritarian society. And we'll see in contrast to our own, which is nearly the opposite, there is barely any authority in our society. And I think it's important for us to understand that when we're talking about popular culture and Christian theology, we're talking about a society filled with individuals who want their own authority. So we'll talk about that subject on the week of June 29th. The week of July 6th, we'll talk about the rise of individualism that came during the Age of Enlightenment. If you don't have a strong authority, the other option is to have authority within yourself. And we're going to talk about how this individualism, which is one of the hallmarks of American culture, came to be about, and how people were reacting to it at the time during the 18th and 19th centuries. July 13th, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is usually used as an illustration of something that people are aware of but don't want to talk about. So we're going to talk about culture, how pervasive it is, how it influences us. We're all affected by culture. It's like we're in a swimming pool. It's impossible to get out of the swimming pool. We are always going to be influenced by culture. And so it's very important for us to understand that our thinking, our ways of acting, we are immersed in culture and it influences us. Then we're going to start looking at various aspects of culture in the coming weeks. July 29th, movies that moves minds. Movies have a very important place in our culture, as well as TV. Anything we look at visually shapes our thinking, shapes how we feel. And we're going to look at movies and how they move our minds. July 27th, music that shakes the masses. We're going to be looking at audio experience. Music certainly is a shaper of our culture, very important, not only for young people, but for all of us, what we listen to. And so we're going to be looking at music. August 3rd, we're going to take a very current topic, science, Godzilla, and COVID-19. We're going to be looking at some of the scientific data surrounding COVID-19, as well as some of the pop culture ideas that have arisen, maybe that you're aware of, that are less than scientific, and how that plays out in people's understanding and their activities. August 10th, we're going to be looking at a very important aspect of our culture, an emerging aspect, social media and the restructuring of time and space. People today are on social media, maybe even more than they are in the real world as far as what they're currently seeing and hearing. And it's very important for us to understand how social media is shaping our thinking and our activities. August 17th, games people play. We're not only talking about sports, but video games, anything about a game. Games can be very positive in bringing people together. They can also be very divisive. So we're going to talk about the various cultural aspects of games in our society here in North America and beyond. Our last major topic we're going to be looking at, of course, is a very challenging one, the third rail of sexual mores. The third rail is something in a subway that is highly charged with electricity. If you touch it, you're going to die. And of course, sexual mores, the whole area of sex before marriage, homosexuality, various aspects of our culture that our culture is feeding us and influencing us we're going to be looking at that particular aspect on August 24th. And then the final week is a time for you to hand in your assignments. And all assignments are due by September 1st. So this is an outline of the content we're going to be going through. And now we're going to be looking at the assignments. There are 5 basic assignments for the course. First of all, we're going to have a weekly Zoom interaction. I will invite you into the room, and it's tentatively scheduled for Mondays at 7 p.m. That'll give us an opportunity to know one another, to go over the lecture a little bit so you kind of have an idea what's going on for the week. Then we have weekly online forums where you're asked to give an original content plus react to 2 or 3 other people on the forums. These don't have to be long. They can just be 2 or 3 sentences, interaction like a conversation, and that will be weekly online forums. Then every week you'll submit a 1-page summary of each lecture. 2/3 will be the content of the lecture. The last third will be your reaction to it. These are easy to write once you read the lecture, or most of the lectures will be done on a video cast, a podcast, like you're experiencing now. And once you read or you look at the video, you can write a paper. I would suggest you keep notes during the lecture. Also, there'll be PowerPoint slides you can consult, and I'll have that up as well as I go through the various weeks, the PowerPoint slides that I'm using for the lecture. Number 4 is a popular culture diary. I'm going to be asking you, and I'll be showing you that in a minute, spend 1 week looking at how you're affected by popular culture, the good, the bad, and the ugly, to gain a sense of how pervasive this elephant in the room, as soon as we wake up in the morning, whether it's going to Starbucks or taking a walk, our culture has an influence in our lives until we go to bed in the evening. Finally, there's a final popular culture assignment. This will be a 10 to 12 page paper on one aspect of popular culture. It can be on movies, music, sexual mores, games, social media, music. So you can pick one of those 6 or 7 cultural things that we're going to be talking about, and you can do a 10 to 12 page paper researching that for your own understanding of popular culture and Christian theology. This is the Pop Cultural Journal. I made a table for this. The instructions is for 1 week, keep a pop cultural journal by writing down for 7 days how what you see and hear around you affects your thinking, feeling, and or doing. The most important part of the exercise is to be very sensitive and note how pop culture is constantly trying to influence how we think, feel, and act about many areas in our lives. Type in your answers in the space provided, and I will give that form probably about halfway through the course. Once you gain some understanding of pop culture and some of the basic ramifications, then I will give this out, and you can fill it out any week of the course. Then write 6 to 8 sentences on what you learned from the exercise following the table below. Please submit your completed form and reaction through the Canvas website. Be brief and no need to be too detailed. So you just have to be brief, maybe just a few words on each of these categories. So you have the date here, and then you have pop cultural visual. Anything you're looking at that would qualify for visual. It can be a billboard, it can be TV, it can be something you might see excuse me, with your visual eyes. The next thing is the audio. Any music you hear, any sound you hear, talking from other people, you can note that down. And then the very important part of social media. How do you feel about that? How was your Facebook or your TikTok, Instagram, Twitter feed for that day? And then how it made me think, feel, and or do. So I want you to gain an understanding of how pop culture is continually trying to affect our lives. And of course, part of our responsibility for the course is about Christian theology. Can the Bible give us an understanding of how to interface with pop culture? Certainly, we're not going to totally divorce ourselves like monks or nones from pop culture, where we're not asking you to do that. But is the Christian worldview a beneficial filter in order for us to evaluate pop culture and put it in its proper place in our lives? Well, that's the introduction of the course, and I'm hoping that this brief introduction will give you a understanding of what the course is all about, a little bit about myself. Also, there's a syllabus that that gives all the information in a more detailed way. I never add to the syllabus, so whatever is in the syllabus, that's our guideposts for the next 10 weeks. I might adjust some things, but I never add things. I always motivate them to your benefit so you can get through the course in a most agreeable manner. Now, I know that most of you are not theology majors, you're dietitians. I understand you have other disciplines. So I really want this course to be a fun course, not something you're grinding over day and night, but something to give you an awareness of Christian theology and pop culture, and maybe change your thinking a little, your actions a little, so that you can be healthier, happier, and more well-rounded individuals as you go through your student life here at Loma Linda. If you have any comments, you can always get hold of me through email on the website, on the course, jimpark@llu.edu. There's also a way to communicate with me through the announcement area, and will try to be very proactive in answering your questions as soon as possible so you can go forward with good understanding. I hope this has been a good introduction to the course, and God bless you in your very busy work here at Loma Linda University during this summer term.